first topic is character. Characters are the core of a story or movie. They are what brings the story alive. In the movie Harry Potter, Harry, the main character, is a young orphan, but eventually makes his way into a magical school. However, on the other hand, Ron, the other protagonist in the story, is very different from Harry in aspects of his background and his personality. Characters also need to be applicable, meaning the watchers can relate to them. Therefore, characters eventually can make the whole movie better because of their unique aspects.
So second topic is conduct. Conduct is basically the behavior of a character that shows feelings, expressions, lonely, sad, mad, happy. A character, not everyone say everything that comes through their mind. Because we show their outlook. Outlook could be body language. They love to say happy or sad. For example, there's a movie called Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet, Romeo dies because of Juliet dies. Then love breaks up and the feeling goes away.
So we've heard about characters and conduct. Now let me tell you about context. Okay, context is one of the more important things in a story because it really sets the stage for the story. Now, for example, let's say a man is lost in a city versus if he was lost in the forest. If he was lost in a city, he could just talk to anyone and ask for directions. However, if he was lost in the forest, he can't really talk to the trees. They wouldn't respond. Now, when talking about context, you should make sure not to include all of the information and leave things hanging like they did in Inception, and yes.
So now this is configuration, and configuration is kind of like the overall film structure, and it's the narrative arc. So as we can see in this narrative arc, it starts out with the exposition. In the exposition, it explains characters. For example, in the movie Batman, it gives the characteristics of Bruce Wayne, and of other characters. Next is rising action, in which the plot slowly builds up and the conflict is shown. But it slowly rises up to the climax, in which the problem and conflict is solved. And also, in the falling action, it's when the effects of the conflicts are shown on the characters, and in the resolution, it usually shows the moral or the overall lesson of the story. And there are various film structures. Some film structures include straight film structure, in which it just goes straight, and in the circle film structure, it starts out with the present, and goes to the past and goes back to the present in the end. And in the spiral film structure, yeah, that was yeah. Okay. In the configuration, there is something called a twin. Can you cut it?
Oh The second thing of my plot is called the condition. The condition is eventually the setting of the story. A side purpose all conditions have is it gives the characters backgrounds. And the meaning that is, in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie mostly takes place at night, where most pirates come out. In another story, perhaps The Mummy, the story also takes place at night because It gives the reader, the watchers, a sense of spookiness and whatever lurks during the night.
Another topic would be conflict. Conflict is one of the most important topic that shows that is able to be optical, just like dramatic. It's desire to option. It moves the interesting. As you can see, what if someone dies, and then the interest moves to the person that died. For example, there's like a problem movie is, for example, there's some guy and girl, they were dating, but the girlfriend cheats on him, so he makes the other problem. The conflict like totally contact another problem.
Now let me tell you about the crutch. We all know what crutches are. They help people walk around, and that is exactly what a crutch in film does. It aids the progression of the film. Now, the definition of a film crutch is like something that the film is centered around. So, for example, like Lord of the Rings, the whole movie was centered around the ring. Versus something like The Matrix, where there is no really an item focus. Now, oftentimes in film, crutches are put on a pedestal, figuratively or literally. In my very sloppy illustration of Indiana Jones, you can see that there's an item placed on a pedestal versus, someone's work desk.